Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Algabot, and this is where we break down automated trading strategies for MetaTrader 5, one expert advisor at a time, in plain and simple language. In today's video, we're taking a close look at a strategy called Power Balance Momentum. It's built around a classic price action gauge known as balance of power, smoothed with a moving average to read who is really in control of the market. By the end of this walkthrough, you'll understand how it reads each candle, how it decides to go long or short, and how it manages its exits. Let's get started. So what exactly is Power Balance Momentum, and what makes it tick? At its heart, this expert advisor is a momentum and trend-following strategy. It runs on a single indicator called balance of power, and everything it does flows from that one reading. Balance of power is a pure price action measure. For every completed candle, it takes the distance from the open to the close and divides it by the full range of the bar, from high to low. The result is a number between -1 and +1. A value close to +1 means buyers drag price from the low all the way up to the high, showing strong bullish conviction. A value close to -1 means sellers were firmly in charge. A value near 0 means the bar was balanced, with neither side winning. Now, raw balance of power readings jump around a lot from bar to bar, so this strategy smooths them with an exponential moving average. That smoothing turns a noisy signal into a cleaner line that reflects the underlying shift in control. The strategy is designed for the primary chart timeframe you attach it to, and it tends to suit intraday foreign exchange pairs or index charts, where momentum moves are common. In terms of who it's built for, this approach speaks to traders who like the idea of following momentum rather than fighting it, and who want a rules-based way to stay aligned with the side that is currently dominating price. It's fully automated, using a fixed lot size and stops and targets that adapt to market volatility. Remember, this is educational information only, not financial advice. And like any strategy, it will have both winning and losing trades along the way. Let's walk through the mechanics step by step, so you can see exactly how the strategy makes its decisions. First, the expert advisor works on closed bars only. It waits for each new candle to form on your chart, and then it looks back at the bar that just finished. This matters because it means every decision is built on complete, settled data rather than a candle that is still moving. For that just closed bar, the strategy calculates balance of power, taking the close minus the open, divided by the high minus the low. It adds that value to a rolling window and smooths the whole series with an exponential moving average, using the balance of power period, which defaults to 14. That gives it one smoothed reading for the current bar and one for the previous bar. Now comes the decision. The strategy uses a threshold, which defaults to 0.15, to create a neutral zone around 0. Think of it as a deadband that filters out choppy, balanced bars. When the smooth balance of power climbs up and crosses above the positive threshold, it signals that control has flipped decisively to the buyers, and the strategy opens a long position. When the smoothed reading falls and crosses below the mirror image negative threshold, it signals that sellers have taken over, and the strategy opens a short. If the reading stays inside the deadband, the strategy simply waits and does nothing. Next, let's talk exits. Every trade is protected with a stop loss and a take profit, and both are scaled by market volatility using the average true range, or ATR, over a 14-bar period. For a long trade, the stop is placed below the entry at 2 times the ATR, and the target is placed above the entry at 3 times the ATR. For a short trade, it is mirrored. The stop sits above and the target below at the same multiples. That gives a reward-to-risk ratio of about 1.5 to 1 on each trade before costs. There's one more piece. If the strategy is already in a trade and the smooth balance of power crosses to the opposite side, it closes the current position and immediately opens one in the new direction. This reversal logic keeps the book aligned with the prevailing momentum, so the strategy is never fighting the dominant side for long. It is a clean, self-contained loop. Read the bar, measure control, act on the flip. Now let's look at the actual MQL5 code that runs inside MetaTrader, just as you would see it in the meta editor. At the top, we have the input parameters, and these mirror the settings from the original strategy. BopPeriod, set to 14, is the period of the moving average that smooths balance of power. Threshold, at 0.15, is the trigger level and the width of the neutral deadband. ATR period, also 14, controls the volatility measure used for the stops and targets. ATR-SL multiple and AtrTp multiple at 2 and 3 are the multipliers that scale the stop loss and take profit. Lots sets the order size, and magic is the identifier the expert advisor uses to recognize its own trades. Below that, you can see the strategy computes two smooth balance of power values, one for the current bar and one for the previous bar. From those it builds two conditions. The cross-up condition is true when the previous value was at or below the threshold and the current value has pushed above it. That is the buy signal. The cross-down condition is true when the previous value was at or above the negative threshold and the current value has dropped below it. That is the sell signal. When the strategy is flat and the cross-up condition is met, it calls open long. Inside open long, it reads the ask price, sets the stop loss below it by the ATR stop multiple, sets the take profit above it by the ATR target multiple, and sends a buy order. Open short is the mirror image. It reads the bid, places the stop above and the target below, and sends a sell order. Simple, symmetrical, and driven entirely by that one smooth reading. Let's bring it all together on a chart and walk through both a long trade and a short trade from start to finish. On screen, you can see a candlestick chart on top, and below it a subpanel showing the smooth balance of power line. Notice the two dashed levels in that lower panel, a positive level at plus 0.15 and a negative level at minus 0.15. The shaded band between them is the neutral deadband, the zone where neither buyers nor sellers are clearly in control. Look at the first few candles on the left. Price is drifting sideways, with small bodies and mixed closes. Down in the subpanel, the smooth balance of power line is hovering right around zero, inside the gray deadband. The strategy reads this as indecision, so it stays patient and does nothing. It simply waits. Then the character of the market changes. A strong bullish candle forms, closing near its high, and the next candle follows through to the upside. Watch the subpanel now. The smooth balance of power line lifts out of the deadband and pushes up through the plus 0.15 level. That upward cross is the exact condition the strategy has been waiting for. It reads the flip as buyers taking decisive control, and you can see the buy entry marker appear on the chart. At that moment, the expert advisor places its stop loss below the entry, at 2 times the ATR, and its take profit above, at 3 times the ATR, a reward to risk of about 1.5 to 1. Now follow the trade. The candles that follow keep pressing higher, each one closing in the upper part of its range, and the smooth balance of power line stays elevated well above the threshold, confirming that momentum is still with the buyers. Price grinds up toward the take profit target, and a few candles later it reaches it. You can see the take profit marker where the long trade closes out on this illustration. The first trade is complete, and the strategy is flat again. But the market doesn't just stop there. Watch what happens next. Price stalls at the top, and a candle rolls over, closing near its low. Then a second, firmer bearish candle appears. In the subpanel, the smooth balance of power line, which had been high, now rolls down hard. It falls back through zero, through the deadband, and crosses below the minus 0.15 level. That downward cross is the sell signal. Control has flipped to the sellers, and you can see the sell entry marker print on the chart. Here the stop and target mirror the long side exactly. The stop loss sits above the entry at 2 times the ATR, and the take profit sits below at 3 times the ATR. From there, follow the short trade down. The next candles keep making lower highs and lower lows, closing near their lows, and the smooth balance of power line stays pinned below the negative threshold, showing sellers remain in charge. Price slides down toward the short target, and on the final candles it reaches it. The second take profit marker shows where the short trade closes out on this illustration, and the strategy is flat once more. And that's the full cycle. Notice how the whole thing revolves around one idea: the smooth balance of power crossing those threshold levels. When it pushes up through the positive level, the strategy leans long. When it drops below the negative level, it leans short. And if the strategy had still been holding the long when that downward cross arrived, it would have closed the long and reversed straight into the short, keeping it aligned with the side in control. Everything else, the stops, the targets, the reversal, simply follows from that one reading. Of course, in live markets, not every cross leads to a clean run like this, and losing trades are a normal part of any strategy. So there you have it, a complete walkthrough of the Power Balance Momentum Expert Advisor for MetaTrader 5. We covered the balance of power indicator and how it measures who controlled each bar, how the strategy smooths that reading and acts when it crosses the threshold levels, how it sets its volatility-based stops and targets, and how it reverses when momentum flips to the other side. Remember, everything in this video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice, not a recommendation, and not a promise of any particular outcome. Trading carries real risk, and losses do happen. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give it a like, leave a comment with the strategy you would like to see next, and subscribe for more MetaTrader 5 strategy analyses. You can find more at www.algobot.live. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Trade responsibly.